That's recording.
Oh, hey, almost didn't see you there. Welcome.
Episode number 1, Couple Casuals. And boom, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome. It's been a long time coming. Couple Casuals podcast, episode number 1. I am your host, Stefano, aka Stefo, aka Dr. Stefo, aka I'm not an actual doctor, aka Sensitive Steph. And I'm here today. Call him a guest, call him a buddy, call him a friend, call him a hombre, call him a colleague, if you will. He's an overall good guy. He's got a great physique, great smile, fantastic facial features. He understands the human anatomy very well. He used to be a liberal, now he's conservative. He used to be fat, now he's fit. He used to be agreeable, now he's disagreeable. Ladies and gentlemen, my man, my good friend, Physio Anth, aka Anthony Cubello, aka Anth Cubs. Let's go.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Stefano.
What's up?
The best intro I've ever gotten.
Doesn't get much better than that, buddy.
It's not a...
Cheers. Yeah, it's been a little bit of a while coming, but we set it up good and had to do episode number 1 with my buddy Ant over here. You see us in the Instagram videos, you see us in the funny videos. It was only necessary.
The Godfather.
The Godfather videos, which by the way we gotta do a couple more of those.
Yes,
we gotta do a couple more of those. So do me a favor, like one of these Saturdays, Sundays coming up, put a little 15-20 minutes on to the side for your old buddy over here.
Consider done, but golf courses are now open, so
here we go.
You know what? We might have to push that later to the evening when the sun's down.
Golf courses are back. Ant, when are you going? When's your first one, bud?
Well, they're opening it up tomorrow, so tee sheets are gonna be hard to come by. It's gonna be hard to get a tee time. So I'm excited to get back out there, get some vitamin D. You know, been missing out on that for the last 8 months.
Yeah.
So
you feel the vibe is changing with everybody though.
Yes.
Now, eh?
Yes.
Everybody's getting fired up now that it's the summer. Nobody's following the rules anymore. They're breaking the rules. I don't know if they really followed them before, but they're breaking them now.
Yeah.
We're getting into the summer. Everybody's livening up a bit. I think it's something to do with the vitamin D, guys. I don't know if it has anything to do with the vitamin D. What do you think?
Vitamin D is one of the most essential nutrients and vitamins that we can get in our body, and it's definitely overlooked. Definitely. I don't want to get too political, but talking about news here and stuff like that, they don't really preach it too much, right? Which I wish they do a little bit more. I wish that was a little bit more of the topic of conversation in the news too.
My buddy Physio Anthony, we're going to talk about a little bit about health today. We're going to talk a little bit about health. We're going to talk a little bit about lifestyle. We're going to talk about fitness, of course. We're going to talk about physio, him coming from a physio background. He's very familiar with the human anatomy, as I mentioned in the introduction. When I got questions, I call my buddy Anth. I got a broken heart, I call my buddy Anth. I got questions about my bowels, I call my buddy Anth. He's informed. Would you say that's a fair assessment, Anth? What do you think?
Yes.
Years of education paid well or what?
Yes.
You know what? I wanted to talk a little bit more about golf courses to chirp up the boys a bit because I know they like that. But you know what? Maybe we'll swing back into that after. Now that you actually brought up health and lifestyle, I think we could swing into when I first met you, buddy. I thought that's a good start, man.
Definitely.
When I first met him, we were probably 14 years old, probably 14 or 13, and he was a lot bigger. He wasn't the handsome fellow that you'd see here today. And I thought it'd be good to talk about that for a second here because a lot of people can relate. He can get into detail about what happened, what was the transition, what was the pivotal moment, what made him decide, okay, I don't want to be I was gonna say fat fuck, but I'm not gonna say that. I don't want to be tons of fun anymore. I don't want to be chubby. I don't want to be chubby Cubs. I want to be fit Anth. So maybe we can go into that. I still remember the day, Anth. I still remember the day.
The last time you pinched me on my
yeah.
my
You
arm.
know what? I'm guilty as charged. Guilty as charged. He used to have the big old arms from the weight. So I used to just go to town on his arm. I don't do it anymore because now he's got biceps. He's yoked out. You know what I mean? But when I first met him, he was rocking the old Barcelona Ronaldinho jersey with DC shoes, Dickies pants, and the old winter cap that was actually a summer cap too. And he was much bigger
with the brim.
With the brim, yes. I'll throw up the Anthony Cubello starter pack there, and I'll tag it in there on the photos. But
don't forget the halo and the chocolate chip cookies and the chips.
But then you used to get the cookies and put them in the ice cream.
Yes.
Slap that together.
Or no, if you ever had like cookie cereal before, where you just literally put milk and cookies.
That's how you know you were fat at one point.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta get creative.
But now he's not. So let's talk about that. Get into it. Like, what was the pivotal point that said, you know what, F this noise. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna change my whole life. Which actually, as a friend from the outside looking in, it totally changed his whole trajectory in life and led him to where he is today. And I come to him for a lot of health advice now, which coming from that point, at one point in time, he was the last guy on the bike hanging behind Carlo and Colucci trying to get to McDonald's. And now he's the first one winning the triathlon, doing all these crazy things. That's very useful for people. So unpack that for us, brother. What happened? Like, what was the transition?
I honestly don't remember the specific day that it actually happened, but it was just kind of an influence of many things in my life. I'd say peers played a huge role, like yourself included. Like, it was a period of summer, grade 10, transitioning to grade 11. That with the combination of my gym teachers and my peers, we just started working out, and I just noticed how different I started to feel after I started to work out, like just socially, physically, mentally, everything started to just kind of clear up, and I just became kind of addicted to it, right? You become addicted to that lifestyle where it's just like, I need to work out, you know, I need to feel good about myself. I need that dopamine release. So
was there something that said that happened that was like, okay, that's it, I'm going to stop now. I'm going to like, or was it like a progressive influence throughout these people and these individuals?
It was progressive, and stemming from the years before too, when I actually put on a lot of weight. I didn't.
How much did you weigh at your heaviest?
Probably 200. But I was, you know, there was a lot of baby fat in there. People throw that around, a lot of baby fat. But I was chubby and I was very unhealthy, and a lot of things going on with my family that made me quit hockey around maybe 13 years old.
But you still ripped though, eh?
Yeah.
Like, this guy's quick on the ice. He can work a twig. I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah. I try. Thank you, man.
No problem.
Biggest fan, Maple
Kings. Yeah, I show up. I'm there for the fights, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But so then you having to quit and leave hockey was one of those things that you weren't able to stay as active. So then that's what weaned you off of it.
Yeah. And then I started gaining a lot of weight. You know, I started dipping into the cookies at night, playing a lot of Halo, doing a lot of stuff like that. You know, not burning a lot of calories at all. And then, put on that weight. And then all those influences at the transition point in my life led to this, you know, this big transformation. And then I think the triathlon was like the big pivotal moment, like the CSN turning point in my life, grade 12 triathlon.
So that was like the pivotal, I got to work towards this. So there was a goal in front of you. Explain to people what a triathlon is. Some people might not know what that means. What's a triathlon?
Basically, a triathlon is, it's 3 different activities. It's running, biking, and swimming. At the high school level, it wasn't like the same length of distance that it would be in a normal sort of competitive triathlon, but it was considered a mini triathlon. It
was still tough. I did it. I was actually in that race with Anth. He did his thing and he overcame his adversity and he won. He won the whole thing, which was coming from that time was like a big accomplishment with you. And I think you're right. I think that is the pivotal turning point of when you're like, I'm working towards this, and then you just became obsessed.
Yes, and then I became obsessed. I posted my results in my bedroom, I'll never forget, in my small little closet, and I just left them there, and my name was highlighted as like first place.
Your youth is so important, okay? Because you learn these lessons, like he's saying, from these certain individuals if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to get better, and then it changes you as an individual and leads him to where he is today. He's now a registered physiotherapist, right?
Resident physiotherapist from somebody who couldn't even jog around the block. You know what I mean? Like this I feel like this is very useful for people, especially now in a time where people are not exercising as much as they probably should. Definitely.
And people are gaining weight. Mm-hmm. People are binging Netflix. But so then boom, you get influence from these certain individuals, you change as an individual, you start to grow, and then you become obsessed. Obsessed is the right word, guys, I think. Because I remember there was one time where we used to work out together. When we were summertime, we'd work out together, and I showed up to the gym, and Buddy was on the freaking treadmill, just absolutely killing it. And what happened? Why were you on the treadmill just absolutely killing it that morning?
I ate a whole box of Fruit Loops.
Fruit Loops. Okay, guys, they're Fruit Loops. So Fruit Loops are pretty badass.
Yeah.
But he ate the whole box. So, Buddy, he showed up at the gym and he's like, I'm burning off every single calorie.
Yeah, I was craving sugar because at that point in that transition period, I was very strict with my diet. I'm like, okay, I'm exercising now. I got to get my diet right. I'd be like measuring out my meat and protein sources with my fist. You know, I got to do my plate, quarter carb, quarter protein and the rest vegetables. And I never wanted to overeat. So it kind of got like borderline sort of eating disorder-ish. I'm not going to self-diagnose myself. But
you passed out at one point when they were administering blood.
Yes,
I remember that. I was worried.
Yeah. I don't know if that's just because, I'm maybe a little baby, scared a little. When I was young and I was at the doctor, the doctor used to chase me around.
No kidding. So you were actually scared. So you're not getting the vaxi-waxy then, are you? I'm joking.
No, I was honestly like, and then when I went to go take some blood, I wasn't scared of needles, but I guess subconsciously, I never maybe got over it. Maybe I was a little bit scared.
Hey, you were also 100 pounds soaking wet, to be fair, brother. I've seen your body transform in so much that it was like you were tons of fun, but then you went from that to really super skinny, which how much weight did you lose? So you were at 200 pounds at one point, and then how much weight did you lose, and what was your lowest?
I think my lowest I got to was like 130.
So that's about 70 pounds.
Yeah, it was a huge.
And
huge
what
jump.
what was the period of time?
It was quick, within a year or two.
Within a year, I think probably a year would be fair.
Probably
maybe a little bit more.
Yeah,
because it happened pretty quick. It was one of those ones where people would see him and be like, "What happened?" Like, holy fuck, you lost a lot of weight.
Yeah. And you can look at pictures even on Facebook. Go create my Facebook.
Maybe I'll throw a couple up. I probably got some ones of him throwing the old thumbs up and stuff. I'll be able to pop that up there so you guys can actually see. You know, losing all that weight, and you were very, very, very hypersensitive towards what you were eating. Do you think that's necessary? You know, based on your experience, your personal experience, and based on, you know, dealing with these sorts of things throughout your career, do you think that's necessary for people to be like overwhelmingly obsessed with their calorie intake and what it is that they're doing? What do you think about that?
I think you have to be obsessed to make changes. But I think with fitness and nutrition, everything I like the word everything in moderation. I like that word a lot. It's always worked out for me.
The yin and the yang.
Yes. I'm a believer in balance and stuff like that. I think people, when they focus on diets too much, that's when it becomes a little tricky, right? Because it's just a short-term kind of goal, and you're cutting your calories way too much, and then ultimately, you know, just to eat another bag of Fruit Loops the next morning, like I did.
Guys, you know what?
Because I was too restrictive in one sense, right?
You know what the best part about it is, Ant?
Yeah.
If you do that and you slip up, get on the old treadmill and you burn that shit off. You know
That's
what I mean?
what I did. I took accountability. I didn't complain, and then you saw me sweating my ass off.
It was funny. The whole transition is like if you're coming from a big weight perspective and you got a lot to drop, maybe
you got to start small. You can't think of all these big things. And there's a lot of things going on now, like fasting and all that. And all that stuff is good. But if I make a recommendation to anyone, is just to start small. You know, maybe, okay, if there's like an 8-hour or 16-8 kind of fast you're doing, you know, start with 10 hours instead of 8. Why do you got to make that jump if you never changed your diet before?
This is in regards to intermittent fasting.
Yeah, well, I'm just using that basically as an example because that's
which I'm doing right now too, which I recently started. But a lot of our friends are into intermittent fasting and fasting. Anytime setting a goal is you want to make it as achievable and as realistic as possible. Because you know what happens a lot of times, at least I find with myself, is we put a goal in front of us that's it's unattainable and it's just too big and it's out of our realm.
Yeah.
You end up, what ends up happening is you end up failing, and then you go, I'm never doing that again.
You get discouraged.
Exactly. So what Ant is suggesting is, boom, put a goal in front of you that's attainable, that's realistic, and then incrementally increase that goal every single time, a little bit at a time.
Exactly. I'll give you an example.
Go ahead.
One of my patients wants to get back to running, and she's taken a long time off running, and she used to run close to like marathons, right? She's stopped being physically active at a point of her life. At the same time, when she's coming back to me, she's like, I really want to run, but I got this back pain going on. I got so much things going on. You know, I gained a lot of weight. And I said, don't compare yourself to what you were before, right?
Exactly.
Okay, new sheet now. Start a new sheet. What's your goal? You want to run? Okay, let's start with 1 kilometer again.
Boom.
That's it. Let's start with 1 kilometer and do intervals, right? Run for 1 minute, walk for 1 minute, right? And then see how kind of, if you have any flare up in your back pain here, see how that, you know, plays out for you, right? And then progressively over the weeks and weeks and weeks, right? You can slowly start to inch that up, right? Maybe then now you're running 2, and then you're running 3, and then you're running 4. The trick is never to stop anything. There's a big fear avoidance behavior that comes into play when people, let's say, now I'm on the point of pain here and stuff like that. It's like when people get injured, for example, they stop running, they stop doing this, they stop working out. It's just because it gets in their way, and it's psychologically ingrained in us, right? To say, okay, I have pain, I have to stop. This causes me pain. That means harm. No, it doesn't mean harm.
Or they could be just sore, guys.
Yeah,
we gotta get tough sometimes too.
Yeah,
Ant is giving you the clinical research. He's talking from like a scientific perspective.
Yeah,
I'll give you the perspective of like sometimes maybe you're just acting soft. But to be fair, know yourself, seek professional help, and then go from there. But it's true. When you get injured, you don't want to stop completely. And isn't that would you say that that's the underlying ideology behind physio, the approach that you guys would take?
Definitely.
Is active.
Yeah, it's like, how can we find a way to get you back to the things that you previously enjoyed doing? Now, because maybe you got an injury or whatever the case may be, it's stopped you from doing these things. Let's slowly build it back up. Let's work with each other, right? Yeah. I know your goals, right? Let's have it here at hand. Let's use some measures to measure that over time. Maybe it's your range of motion, right? Maybe it's, how fast you can do the kilometer and whatever the hell your goal is, right? And let's work and progressively increase it over time.
And you brought up a lot of good things there. First thing I want to get into is interpersonal experience. And I mentioned to you this previously. So leading up to this talking point, you were talking and you were reiterating your experience within losing weight, changing your trajectory in life on what it is that you went from being completely inactive at one point, playing Halo in your basement and absolutely shredding. He was really good at Guitar Hero, by the way, Rock Band. If Twitch was around back then, I'd be getting paid to play video games. I'll tell you that for free, seriously. So so that whole transition happened in influence. How much do you think interpersonal and individual experience plays a role in an occupation like physiotherapy, like policing, for example, like teaching?
Yeah.
How much do you think personal experience is crucial and important and significant in that situation?
It's everything.
It's everything, isn't it?
It's the reason why.
It almost should be a prerequisite.
Yeah, it's the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
You got to practice what you preach. I'm speaking on behalf of my profession now because that's what I can speak for, but it'll apply to other professions such as teaching and policing too. Is no one's going to come to you and you're going to give them exercise advice if you don't exercise yourself.
Right.
Right? How do you even know what that person's going through if you haven't done these X, Y,
but
and Z
exercises? Even outside of physical, I'm talking about even mental as well. Right? Yeah. You're going to want to have gone through some stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So life adversity for sure was a big turning point for me as well. Mm-hmm. Right. Going through family struggles and stuff like that, wanting a life that's different than what you've maybe been exposed to in terms of challenges and threats. Personal experience is everything in my opinion. Right? It's the reason why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's worth mentioning. There's a lot of times that we as people, we go through struggle. We go through a lot of times that are hard, but man, that's all useful for you. That's all going to be tools that you're going to be able to use. Maybe you pass it on to your son one day, to your daughter, to your friends even. How many times have we helped each other and done stuff like that? That's all based off experience. Ant as a friend has heard me complain a whole lot. He's helped me a whole lot because he's been through things and I've been through things. So suffering is where your knowledge comes from, I feel. And it directly correlates to where you are as an individual. That's why I thought it was important to bring up your experience with losing the weight and with getting healthy. Now you bring that with you when you're treating clients.
Exactly.
They're also, at the end of the day, they're talking to you as an individual. Yeah. So you're going to have a lot more to offer them than, let's say, the next person who maybe doesn't have that much experience as you, right? Yeah, but that's one thing that I definitely wanted to talk about was the individual experience and the importance and the significance and the experience that we bring with us throughout life, because it's going to be useful and it's going to be a tool that we're going to be able to use when we're going through life, whether it be through career, whether it be through friends, when you're just chopping it up, going for a walk, which, by the way, that's all we've been doing for the past, year and a bit? We've been locked inside, but you know what the boys have been doing? We're not pre-drinking for clubs anymore. We're pre-drinking for a nice, good old walk. That's what we're doing. We're walking, which walking happens to be a great exercise as well, too.
It's low impact. You know what I mean? Well, biking's a good alternative as well, but walking is tremendous. And there's lots of research behind it too. Even your positive affect, which means your emotion, right? Your thoughts, right? And how you view things and your perspective. That people that walk, you tend to have more of a positive affect during your walk and also after your walk when you're done the exercise.
Well, look at the great convos we have when we're walking, right?
Yes.
Talking about our feelings and stuff.
And if you ever notice too, this is just in my kind of personal experience, is that if every time I'm on an important phone call, I'll be just pacing around.
Oh, me too, bro.
I'll be going back and forth
You got the pods on?
In my living room, yes.
Yeah.
I got the AirPods on and I'm just going back and forth in my room. It's like your mind is working. It's like it's warmed up. You're idling a car, right? When you're walking, it's kind of like you're idling your brain to access those compartments that it needs to, right? For conversation, for meaningful conversation, for anything, right? For anything that goal at hand, that what you're doing. So it kind of just gets greases the wheels a little bit.
Greases the wheels, wets the lips.
For lack of a better word. Yeah.
Whatever, however you guys want to put it. And it's also a great, for my fellas out there, great opener, eh? You got a girl you want to hang out with? Take her for a walk.
That's right.
Go to Lakeshore.
You don't got to do anything extravagant. You don't got to wine and dine.
You don't got to go to Harbor 60 for a steak. It's always good to go to Harbor 60 for a steak. Maybe Gusto 101. Guys, go for a walk. It's not a big deal. Go for a walk. And it's great, like you said, it activates that part in the brain where you're moving.
Yeah.
So it's an activity-based date. It's an activity-based thing. That's why throughout the old Rona, the boys have been just straight up just walking a lot. We've been walking, meeting up and walk. Call us the neighborhood watch. Call us whatever you want. We've been just moving though. And I think that single-handedly has helped a lot, especially here in Canada, being stuck inside for quite a while now. But walking, just meeting up and walking, we're not breaking the rule. Man, there was good bits of the winter where we were strapped up, bro. Like full winter coat.
And you were running through the winter too.
I was running through it too, man. That was tough,
yeah.
Let's talk about running for a second, actually, too.
Let's talk about running.
That was one of the things that I wanted to talk about with you, too.
Sure. Let's do it. We love running.
Why do people hate running, bro? You know what? Can I say something first before we get into it? Guys, if somebody says to you running's bad, this is bro science, though. This is bro science. This is not actual science. If somebody says if somebody says running's bad for you, they don't like running. They'd rather be on the elliptical train or something. And fair play to the people that are. But running is, I don't think, Anthony can give you the scientific perspective, and I think everybody's different, but I don't think running's necessarily bad for you. I think we were built to run. Think about the hunter-gatherer days. Think about the days when what do you think we did when we were cavemen? Yep. You think we took the TTC to go down to the old grocery store, take the long way home and grab some things to eat? No. We were running and catching our meals, guys. Like you said before, you said it best once.
Yeah.
You said, look at the way your legs are structured.
Yeah.
Look at the way your legs are structured and stuff. They're built to run.
The Achilles tendon.
The Achilles tendon.
The largest tendon in the body. Yeah, it's like that big cord structure. It's like it's clearly built for a spring, right? A spring action.
That's what it looks like.
Right? That step off that, you're landing on your heel and then springing off the forefoot kind of thing. That's how we were designed,
exactly.
Guys.
So in short, is running bad for you?
No. That's terrible to say, actually.
Remember when you were running that time?
Yeah.
You were running that time, and then buddy you used to work with, a buddy from the city, he's like, why are you running?
Oh, my God.
Tell him that story.
Yeah, man.
Why are you running?
Whatever. I was getting after it one morning before I started my shift at the clinic, and I already put in about 5K, and I turned the corner, and I see buddy over there that works with the city that I used to work with, and I stop. You say it all the time. I always stop.
Yeah, he stops.
I'm a nice guy, Steph. I don't know what to do.
You're a nice guy. My idea is like keep it moving. You got to keep it moving. When I see somebody, guys, it's like I want to be respectful. So I give him you give him one of these, you give him the wave or whatever. But we got to keep it moving. That's kind of got to stop. So he stopped at this particular time.
Yeah, stop. Although to my defense, though, I do usually do that. It's just it was that awkward thing where it's like, oh my God, halfway into it, I'm staring at you, you're staring at me, and you want me to stop clearly. Okay, I'll stop. I haven't seen you in a couple years. So I stopped there on the side of the shrub bed. And he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm working now. I'm a physio, this and that. And he's like, oh, good. I'm like, he's like, why are you running? What do you mean, why am I running? I'm trying to work out here. I'm trying to get after it. What are you talking about? He's like, no, I talked to one guy, running's not good for you. Even the doctor told me, running is not good. He's like, walking, nothing. You don't got to do any of that stuff. I didn't want to stop and, try to convince him it wasn't a lecture on, you should probably run, right?
It's like, but put the flowers in. Let me keep it moving.
Yeah.
So essentially, he just heard it from one guy, and then that was it.
Yeah, and then there was what made the story even funnier was that there was a guy who was kind of like had a personal training background. He's like, yeah, I have a personal training background, and you shouldn't do that. You should do intervals.
Oh, he took a weekend course. Good man. I was in freaking university for I don't know how long. Hey, how long? How many years total? How many years?
It's 7.
My buddy's wicked smart. I tell you that. You're well informed.
Yes.
To put it that
well,
way.
I like to think I'd hope so. Like. It's about 70K down the drain. If it was the worst 70K I spent, it didn't pay off for me, right?
I think it paid off well. I watch YouTube. No, to be fair though, I was making a joke there, but to be honest, we're in a time now, guys, where I think we have it at our fingertips. We're in a technological revolution to get to get a little smart with you guys. We're in a technological revolution where we have everything at our fingertips. The point is that where there's no excuses. We can learn pretty much anything. Audiobooks, with YouTube, with podcasts. Hopefully, this podcast could be pretty informative from you guys. You're talking to a couple buds who, we've been around the block a couple of times. We're still learning. We're still figuring it out. But I think we have a lot of good insight to follow.
Mainly my experience with people that don't like running is just like they do it for a couple of times. It's hard. You're going to get some joint pain, right? And then they use that as an experience to kind of generalize it across
sore.
the board.
People get sore, guys.
Yeah.
Like before people work out, the first thing they want to know is like, when's rest day?
I have to say there is body types that are more suitable for running. Like if you go look at a sprinter,
You're right. Yep.
They're jacked, right? Like they got delts, like big Captain America shields over them. Like their quads are like.
How much of that is genetics and how much is that actually work input?
They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
They-
So
you
the
can't-
genetics is still, it's an important, crucial
Yeah.
component, especially athletically when it comes
Absolutely,
to that sort of thing.
genetics definitely play a role.
Yeah.
Look at all the hockey players, man.
They're absolutely
Lots
beauties. What
of
are you
hockey-
talking about? Kessel's a beauty. He slugs beers and stuff. What are you talking about?
But what I'm saying,
Jason Spezza, one of the best players to ever hit the ice.
it's a lot of their fathers and older
Played puck.
generations played puck, and then that got them into it. The environment to them too, as well, not just the
environment is-
genetics. Right?
Environment is a big part
Environment is a huge part. You have to surround yourself with the things that will make you successful to your goal.
So it's one component to like a couple others that are important, like genetics,
Yeah.
like work, effort put in.
Absolutely.
Like if there's anything that I've learned from my experiences, don't jump to recovery, but you're sore. For the most part, sometimes you may be injured. I mean, seek professional help from guys like Ant that know they understand people. Everybody's different as an individual.
Back to my point with the running, and so if you look at a sprinter and you look at a marathon runner, they look a lot different, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like marathon runners tend to be a lot more slimmer, right? They don't have as much muscle mass, I would say, as like a sprinter. If you look at Usain Bolt, like
He was actually at Early Mercy one night, eh?
Was he actually?
I'm not even kidding.
What a beauty.
We're dressed like we're going to Early Mercy, to be honest with you, actually. I'm just missing the gold chain. But he was at Early Mercy just absolutely tearing up the dance floor.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, him just popping in. Usain Bolt, fastest guy ever, just partying at EM. What a beauty. Yeah, so long story short,
Yeah.
people tend to sway away from running because it's tough. We see things that are hard and maybe it's a bit of a hurdle, but you're more than you think. Would you not agree? Look at your story. At one point, you were a chubby guy that, last one picked, and that changed. How did that change? Through effort.
Yes.
Through consistency, through environment,
Through
the people around you, through your own will.
Yeah.
These things are hard things, but you're more than you think. Probably a lot of people were like, guys, these guys are getting pretty motivational on us and stuff. Guys, we're just having a couple casuals at the end of the day. I think these things are important. And I don't think we hear about it enough. Don't you think? We don't hear about this stuff too much. I think especially through this whole situation, I don't think people really, in the situation I'm talking about, the whole pandemic with everything that's been going on, I don't think people talked about too much about the importance of healthy living, activity, vitamin D. You mentioned that on the old golf course. That's the benefits of that.
Yes.
You guys are slugging beers down. You might be a little bit dehydrated, but
Bring a few waters.
Yeah, you gotta mix in a water. Talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about the importance of exercise and what it does in contributing to your immune system, and how that is probably the best scientific research we should stick to in regarding to defending against illnesses and sicknesses.
In terms of immunity, man, it's just, it mounts that immune response to anything that can come in your body. Any sort of foreign invader, such as, now I'll use COVID as an example because that's what's relevant now.
Yeah.
And that article, even the one I sent you, right? About
which maybe we should
50,000.
include that in there, man, because that's they say stick to the science, guys. This is science. This is actual science that he sent me. This is a clinical research that's done through
the British Journal of Sports Medicine.
And what did they say? What was the synopsis of that in regards to defending against COVID and protecting yourself against illnesses in general? What was the consensus?
Basically, physical inactivity. So if you were inactive, then you were more susceptible to getting COVID and also more at a greater risk of being hospitalized.
Of it being
from COVID,
detrimental.
And of it being a little bit more detrimental to your health, right? Aside from, age. Obviously, that's a huge risk factor.
Underlying condition.
And underlying condition, such as like an organ transplant or
organ transplant or obesity, which we talked about.
Yes. Yeah, it was about 50,000 people that did the study. It was like a retrospective study. So people that don't know what that means is like they're going back in time. They take out medical files. Then they use that data to extrapolate and make inferences on a particular thing, such as physical activity and COVID. And so they basically said anything 150 minutes of physical activity per week, which is like the Canadian physical activity guidelines.
150 minutes, which is nothing, man. What is that?
5 times 3, if my math's correct, like half an hour a day.
Hey Siri, what's 150 divided by 7?
150 divided by 7 is about 21.4285.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're pretty close. So it's about 21 minutes a day.
Do 5 days.
Hey Siri, what's 150 divided by 5?
150
There you go.
divided by 5
That's
is
my math,
30.
yeah.
Well, let her
There
say
you
it
go.
first. So boom, he's right. So all you need, essentially what he's saying is that all you need is about 30 minutes of exercise a day within 5 days, within a Monday to Friday. 30 minutes is going to significantly help you in the increase of defending yourself against an illness like COVID-19 for it being detrimental to you, not it defending it completely.
To another point, anything from 10 minutes to 150, there was still a decreased risk. That immune
Which is
defense,
not much, guys. Make a TikTok dance. You'll be like, by the time you're done that, you've already mixed in 10 minutes. Go for a walk. Do some jumping jacks, some jumping squats. I know a lot of people love the HIIT training. I know you mixed it in the winter when you didn't want to go outside and run. I know. It served you well, though. It kept you in. But why don't you talk about a little bit when you had the old Rona, when you had COVID? I don't know if you want to talk about that. I didn't even think we were going to get into Corona this much, but we'll talk about it a little bit. Talk a little bit about your experience with it, firsthand being an athletic individual that you are and taking care of yourself, being pretty health conscious. Like, to be fair, we do bury a pizza every once in a while, and we eat Nannalina's lasagna and gnocchis.
My diet is very loose.
So
my nutrition.
It's hard work, eat what you want. That's our mentality. But talk about your experience with it. This is, again, guys, this is personal experience. So what was it like?
Guys, it's nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Straight off the cuff, honestly, I didn't have much symptoms at all. Maybe a little taste loss for maybe 5 to 7 days. That's about it. I could have stuck a porcupine in my mouth and couldn't taste anything.
You literally couldn't taste anything. So the taste was a significant one. Can you taste now?
Oh yeah,
It
was gone within just over a week.
I FaceTimed him. I checked in on him, and buddy was absolutely he was working out. You were fine.
Oh yeah,
you were fine.
Yeah, I was fine. Yeah.
And the best part about it was that we had steak sandwiches the week before.
Yes, and then you had to go get tested.
I did.
A lot of people
was
had to go get
responsible
tested because I was still in my physio program.
And you didn't spread it to one person. That was the crazy thing.
Yeah.
Do you think that it had anything to do with your health situation, the way you take care of yourself, the way you drink water, the way you do these things?
Absolutely.
So you think that had a role to play in your reason of not spreading it as much?
Yes.
And your reason to be able to deal with it as effectively as you were?
100%. Yeah.
Because
we were just talking about that research, and there you go.
It. Perfect, right? We looped that in good. We're professional podcasters, guys. I don't know what to tell you. But yo, seriously, I was eating me, him, and his girlfriend. I was third wheeling hard that night. You know, we're friends like that. We were eating steak sandwiches, and you were making them for me. I thought for sure I got it. I'm like, I got this thing. That's it. I got it.
I was hoping you didn't, man, but you didn't. So.
But I didn't. Nicole didn't get it. He French kissed her. She didn't get it. But why? What's the answers?
I don't know, man. To be honest with you, like, I think maybe because I was a little bit more physically fit that I was able to keep it at bay from people.
And it just 100%. Wasn't as contagious as the next guy. Let's say.
Yeah.
Let's say you're a guy that just buries McDonald's every single day, rips crazy darts.
Yeah.
Speaking of Carlo, actually, I'm joking. Should we call? Hey Siri, call Calogero Nicastro on speaker.
Calling Calogero Nicastro. Mobile on speaker.
Wait.
Car, you buying the dip or what?
No, I didn't buy the dip.
I bought the dip yesterday, buddy.
Crypto.
What are you saying?
Nothing much, man. So.
Yeah, hey, you ripping darts?
Yeah, I'm gonna go rip a dart.
Yeah, you're gonna rip a dart.
What's up, Car? How you doing?
We were talking about ripping darts and eating McDonald's on the podcast, and then we're like, speaking of my buddy Car, let's call him.
I'll tell you what, buddy. I've done a lot of that.
Because what we were talking about was how Anth got the Rona and he absolutely destroyed it within minutes, and he didn't spread it to one single soul. And then we're like, it's because he's healthy. And then we're like, well, what if you rip darts and eat McDonald's? You think you would spread it?
No, probably not. But I was gonna say, what a pro does before you even swallow the cheeseburger, you light a butt right away.
Yeah,
It's still in your mouth. You're driving away with it.
Yeah, large pack de Moria. You know what I mean? Pack of McDonald's. But you don't eat McDonald's as much anymore, eh?
What was the last time I ate McDonald's? Probably a week ago. I'll tell you what, it was good.
It was good. But Car, you're a good man. Buy the dip, crypto Car. We're gonna bring Car on the podcast soon. We're gonna talk about crypto. We're gonna talk about cigarettes.
Plumbing, cigarettes.
Ford F-150s, all that good
Ford
stuff.
F-150s, truck guys.
Golf. Car, wouldn't you say they need to keep the golf courses closed? This is ridiculous.
No. Golf course got open. I'm sorry.
Car. What do you drive? What's your drive at?
320 on a good day?
320, yeah.
Is that good, Ant?
Yeah, how many times is that straight?
He's chopping Fatinos over there.
Maybe 1 out of 10.
1 out of 10? Let us get back to it, Car, here. We'll talk to you in a hot minute, buddy. We'll call you later.
All right, boys, enjoy.
We'll see you.
Ciao.
But what were we even at? What were we talking about before that? About fighting off the Rona.
Yes, the Rona.
So you fought it off good, but Nannalina was still there chucking lasagnas downstairs, eh?
Nannalina was a beauty during that time. Like you said, just chucking around.
Just
lasagnas, gemelli, espressos.
She makes
whatever
crazy
you
gnocchi
wanted.
too, I heard.
Gnocchi, that she's known for her gnocchi.
So Ant fought it off. He made it through. I think the takeaway from that, guys, is I think it's different for everybody. Let's make that clear. But
yeah, definitely.
That's the importance behind physical activity. And I think no nobody talks about it as much as I'd like to hear.
Yeah, and then when I got out the week after and I broke a 5K record, I'm like, something's going on here.
Oh, is that what you did?
Which leads me to other points too. Like, okay, like you have this big negative thing affecting your life and you got to quarantine and isolate yourself from others. Huge mental burden. But take it back a step and see what you can work on.
But we're learning, though. We're learners.
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't that the approach, though? Jokes aside, that's the approach to everything. If you have that white belt mentality, if you have that I'm willing to learn, treat everybody as if they know something you don't.
Yes.
That's the way to life, because you're going to always learn like that. Everybody has somewhere they can learn.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Learning. We can learn. Just by listening to this podcast, hopefully somebody's learned at least one thing. If you can learn at least one thing from anybody, it's useful. And I think we carry that mentality. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, is because I think it's useful for people to see, is like just couple guys having a couple casuals throughout our experiences, how we've had that approach in things. Be humble enough to be like, I can learn. If I don't know it, I'll learn it. I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Just like this right now, just like what we're doing right now. We're figuring it out. We got a couple cameras here set up. We got some microphones. It's a little bit of a process putting all this together, but we're learning as we go. Just trying things, learning things. So
you got to put the will.
You got to put
willing. Anything is possible.
If
right?
there's a will, there's a way, right, buddy? So there's two professions that I think are in the health industry, in the recovery-based industry. A lot of people don't know the differences between being a physio and being a chiro. To us, it may be familiar. We may understand that fairly well because we're in that scope. We're in that realm. We understand it. But explain to people the difference between physio and chiro, and the positives and no, I'm not even going to say negatives, because they're both positive. They're just two different approaches. Yeah, so explain that.
Basically, it's always been a confusion to me as well, too. I'm going to say that humbly as well. But basically, the main difference between physio and chiro is the philosophy, right? It's the individual, the philosophy of what we're taught in school. A little bit of background. Physios do a master's degree, just 2 years. Chiros, they do 4 years. And both respects or disciplines have an undergraduate degree. Most of the time in kinesiology, but it doesn't always have to be. There's diverse backgrounds. So a little bit of difference in schooling there so between the master's and the doctorate program. I love chiros. I have a lot of experience working with chiros, especially now working in private practice. I've worked closely with chiros, and they get a lot of bad rep, in my opinion, because a lot of the mainstream population thinks that, they just crack people. But there's a lot of chiros that don't do that.
A lot of people like that, though, too, right? Yeah. They go to that as a relief.
Absolutely. And if it's indicated, it's going to help you. And I follow so many chiros on social media, too, like Jacob Harden. He's a really good guy. And he's very exercise-based. Like, it's tremendously. His exercise knowledge is very vast and very wide. So it kind of gets lost in the middle over there. Like, there's mist and there's fog in between the two professions. But in long story short, is chiros, they might be a little bit more biased towards the spine. And right out of school, they're able to manipulate people. So manipulating means that cracking and that
the adjustments.
The adjustment position.
Which, man, there's some ones online. You ever seen like some montages of some like good old cracks online? They get pretty loud, eh? Guys, do yourself a favor when you're on the toilet next time. Go on YouTube and type in like best chiro cracks and like just be entertained.
Yes. I've worked closely with chiros on an interdisciplinary team. Deal with more of like maybe the passive care, like, they're doing more manual therapy, more of the spinal manipulations and stuff like that. And then like I'll deal with like the exercise and the active components, the care, like progressing a squat or progressing a lunge, so you can use them together, right, to get you to an ultimate goal. You can use both those disciplines as part of teamwork. Let's
say somebody comes to you and they also go to a chiro. You're much better looking than the chiro, but that's besides the point. So they come to you and they go, okay, my back's hurting. What's the difference in approach that a physio would have and a chiro would have?
We're going to look at the person's movement. We're going to look at the range of motion. We're going to strength test them, strength test the hip musculature, strength test the low back, look at their core and stuff like that. The only thing I can say, and this is a generalization, and I don't really want people to take this wrong in the chiro field or the physio field, is much respect to everyone out there, is that they'll just be a little bit more in tune with, I guess, the alignment of the spine, right?
You're talking about chiro specifically.
Yeah, chiro specifically.
Okay.
Yeah. But not to say I use posture as an assessment in my assessments too, right? So, right, we're taking in multiple variables of it. Not to say that chiro isn't, right? But physio kind of looking at everything that I mentioned before, right? Range, looking at strength, they're looking at their core, they're looking at what makes them up socially as an individual, right? are they working 9 to 5? Are they working this and that? Okay, that's going to play a role in what we're going to give them in terms of exercise. Maybe, maybe they're an electrician, so they have to use their wrists more or whatever, right? So, okay, we take in all those social aspects and then kind of formulate a sort of a treatment plan, right, with that.
Exactly. So people are going to go to a car where they're going to maybe get the little bit of the hands-on. That's a little bit more euphoric in a sense and pleasing for them because, the chiros are getting in there. Maybe they're giving them I don't know if, generally speaking, I've only been to 2 chiros. One was good, one was bad.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
I'll get into that in a second. But so they're not necessarily like, I remember the first time I went to, I don't know if he gave me an adjustment right away. Maybe there's sometimes where they're just, depending on the individual, depending on the experience of that individual, depending on how they practice, their initial meeting with you might not be hands-on. But I think people like that. I think people like the hands-on thing. That's why people tend to maybe sometimes favor chiro more than physio, because you're going to a physio and a physio is giving you hands, is taking you as an individual, finding out your situation, and then determining a great plan to recover on that. And in that is going to be homework, is going to be exercises, stretches, things that you're going to have to do in order to progress on that. And I feel sometimes people are not as thrilled to go home and fire up those freaking dead bugs or whatever it is that you're doing, like some of those exercises, you know what I mean? Yeah. But guys, it's worth it. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I know a lot of technicians, people who work in HVAC, electrical, all these things, they get injured. They're working with their body. And then they go to a physio and they don't want to do these exercises. They don't want to do that stuff because they got to come home and they got to watch the game and then they got to sit down and they got to watch Netflix. They're sleeping by then. You know what I mean? They don't want to do it. We don't got time. I got to go work tomorrow. What do you mean? What do you mean I got to do stretches? I got to work like 8 hours.
And the trick is just finding the balance, man. Just starting very small. I start small with people that are beginners to exercise. Maybe 2-3 exercises are good enough.
Dude, I think that's big.
That's good enough. You did those 2 exercises and you got 20 more degrees in your shoulder abduction or your shoulder range of motion. Right?
There's something that you learn and you benefit from of doing things that suck. Shout out to my boy David Goggins. He preaches that a lot. Yeah. And I think anything you learn in this life, back to what you started, how we started this conversation, was everything you learn that's useful is no picnic. It changed your whole trajectory. It pivoted you. It was a pivotal moment. Was suffering. Was looking at yourself, not being happy and saying, I want to make a change. And putting that effort forward, scheduling out a plan, making incremental changes, starting small, and then incrementally increasing them every single time. A little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And then next thing you know, you're banging it out more than you ever thought you were. You're running way more than you ever thought you were. You're exercising way more than you ever thought you were. Yeah. Start small. Aim big, make a damn schedule,
and stick to it.
I'm gonna talk about my experience with I had a good experience and I had a bad experience with chiro. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna make it quick. I'm not gonna say where it was. I'm not gonna mention any names because I don't roll like that. I don't leave reviews, guys. I don't do that. I don't know what it is. I don't do that.
Yeah. If I go to come see me, you're gonna leave a review, right?
Yeah. When I come see Anth, I'm gonna rip my bennies on him. I got a couple bucks to spend. I'm gonna send it to my buddy here.
We're just acquaintances.
But the thing is, I don't want to waste it. God forbid I need it. You know what I mean? There was this one place I went to. It was my first experience with the chiro. My SI was hurting, which is a common runner's injury. I went to this girl. First of all, she came in smelling like her lunch. That was the first red flag. She was a good-looking girl, though. I'll tell you that for free. She was a very good-looking girl. She basically asked, okay, what? Okay, she got into a little bit of detail. Okay, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? I'm having a little bit of SI pain. My SI is hurting me down here at the bottom, my lower back. Okay, well, what did you do? Well, at the time, I was running 5K for time. I was sprinting 5K essentially before my workouts. And she asked me, she turned to me and looked at me and was like, why are you doing that? And I'm like, what?
Oh, no.
She's like, you're running 5K for time before your workouts? I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm doing before my workouts. That's what I've been doing lately. All the boys, we've been competing, and yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm sprinting 5K before my workouts. And she's like, what are you training for? And I paused. I looked at her, and I said, I'm training for life. What do you mean? I'm training for life, man.
Did she shut up after that?
She did. She's like, oh my God, that's good. What's your phone number? No, I'm joking. I shouldn't say that. I could see where this was going already. Long story short, she barely touched me, barely did any sort of physical adjustment, barely asked me any sort of background. And she just was like, okay, boom, you're going to need to come here for 8 weeks, 3 times a week, just that, boom, boom, without even, I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know that already? If you don't even, you don't even look at me, lady. You just asked me a couple questions that were not even like she just literally looked at me, turned to the side, and yeah, you're off. Yeah, you could see your.
There's no justification for that. Yeah.
What's that about? You know what I mean? But you know what I did? I went to another chiro, my buddy Pasquale.
Yeah.
He asked me questions. He asked me environment-based questions. He asked me social-based questions. He asked me my goal orientation questions. So his approach was, okay, what are you trying to do? Okay, you're trying to run for a certain amount of time. Okay, let's find a way to recover, get yourself to recover, improve your pain and your injury. But let's find a way that you can still achieve that goal. Maybe not immediately, but maybe somewhere down the line that you could still achieve that goal. And he did a little bit of a back assessment on me, and he left me with some homework when I went home, and I did those exercises. It turned out I needed to strengthen my core a bit to compensate for that, which actually ended up helping me. And I didn't need to continue with the whole process. And it was
it's not hard.
Very
if you
useful.
listen to people, it's not that hard.
Exactly.
It's not hard. The trick is like a lot of these people that are a lot of mainstream population that go to chiros and physios, they get experienced with those people, like that one, for example, with like that one lady that you had an experience with, and they kind of say, oh, chiro doesn't work for me.
Yeah, exactly. You're right.
Physio doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yes.
They don't listen. They just do this. They just tell me I have to come for 6-8 weeks and this and that, and it taints people. It's like that one bad apple that taints 5 or 6 in the bunch, right?
They're basing it off one experience, which is not a good thing to do, guys. Go to a couple, experience things a couple times over again before you just go and paint everybody with the same brush. Don't even worry about this. We're gonna wrap it up now.
Yeah.
What do you think? Is there any other talking points that you think that maybe we should go on? Anything else you want to mention?
We pretty much covered everything, but I had one thing about the personal experiences and how it's
go for it.
What is it? How important it is to have that personal experience and what the personal experience did for me in terms of exercise and health and all that stuff. It's like I kind of relate it to like Inception. Like the exercise was like implanted into my mind, right, kind of thing. And there's no going back. It's like once I have that thought, I know that exercise changed my life physically, socially, mentally. I saw all the positive affects and boosted me forward. That point being said is that I use that, right? And now, I say that is very, very good. How do I take that and how do I help people with it, right?
How do I apply it to my everyday approach? Apply it to life.
Look to make a difference, not a living, right? Kind of thing. As my boy Denzel.
Is that him? Yeah. Are you quoting Denzel?
Quoting Denzel there.
I think in saying that, it's a good way to wrap it up here. I want to say thanks, brother, for coming on.
Yeah, man.
Taking the time. I picked him up. We got some steak sandwiches. We had a meal.
Shout out California sandwiches.
We ate good. We had a couple coffees, and then we said we're gonna film this first podcast, and then we're just gonna bang it up. Catch Anthony again. Anthony's gonna be on again for sure. We're gonna do one with the boys. We're gonna have a couple more. We're just gonna have some fun with it. I hope you guys join along and join us for a couple casuals and follow along. Follow at the Instagram at Couple Casuals Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Dr. Stefano. And tell them where they can find you, and then we'll go into the last segment.
Yeah.
Cheers. So where can they find you, brother? What's your
Anth Cubs?
At Anth Cubs. That's your personal?
Yeah, it's my personal. And at Anth Cubs Physio for professional account.
And at Anth Cubs Physio. Reach out to him if you guys want some real good life experience, individual-based approach to physio recovery and all that good stuff. And leading us to the final segment here, which I want to call Salute. That's what it is. When you're at a pre-drink, when you're out with your buddies, when you're at a family event, we drink. We have a couple drinks, maybe a glass of wine, whatever floats your boat. And we do a thing, it's called Salute. It's called Cheers. It's a celebratory gesture to the happy days ahead, to something to look forward to maybe something you want to mention. Anything. This segment here is dedicated to the guest.
We do this a lot at parties.
We do this all the time.
With the salute and stuff. But yeah, I want to say, dude, this has been a tremendous honor, man, to be honest with you, to be on the first episode.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the behind the scenes, man, behind this. And it's been a long time coming. And I'm super proud of you. And I'm super excited about what's to come because, bro, you got tremendous amount of potential. And this is probably one of the best Wednesday or what is it? Thursday nights.
Thursday, guys.
Thursday nights I had in a couple of years. Don't say that to my girlfriend. Don't say that too loud. Or people that I've hung out with.
Nicole, you're always welcome to.
Great conversation, and I feel very at home right? And that's what this is about. And I think this is your approach too. And correct me if I'm wrong, but so you want to make it home, right? And it's not about you, man. It's about others and spreading word and networking and just paying it forward through knowledge, paying it forward through conversation.
Just learning.
And just learning as we go. So thank you so much, brother, for having me. I really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
So salute. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you guys tune in next time. This has been fun. This has been great. It's been a couple casuals here with my buddy Anth Cubs, Physio Anth. Great guy, good morals, fantastic facial features. Cheers. Salute. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.
Boom.